Hello, I'm Bernard Norcott-Mahany. I work at the Bluford branch of the Kansas City Public Library. April is National Poetry Month, and during April of 2026, in honor of Christopher Nolan's movie of the Odyssey coming out this year, I will be reading from Chapman's translation of the Odyssey. I'm going to be looking specifically at the Telemachia, the first four books, the first four chapters of the Odyssey, and those will be broken down into like 100-line, snippets. So each day, be reading about 100 lines or so of poetry, some a little less, sometimes a little more. So, without further ado, we're going to start with book one of the Odyssey. The first four books, Odysseus is mentioned in the opening lines, but other than that, he does not feature except as someone people talk about. He doesn't actually enter as a character until book five. This is Telemachus, his son, trying to find out what he can about his father. So, summary, each time I'll be doing a brief summary of the section that I'm going to be doing and then reading it. Because Chapman was a contemporary of Shakespeare, so his language may seem at times a little strange. Odyssey 1, lines 1 to 160. At the beginning, after the invocation to the Muses, there's a council of the gods on Olympus, and Athena and Zeus are the main people talking. Athena is complaining that Odysseus, of all men, is still not home, after now 10 years after the Trojan War ended, so he's been away from home for 20 years. Zeus agrees to send Hermes down to Calypso, the goddess who is holding Odysseus sort of captive as sort of a sex slave, and has been doing that for the past 7 years or so. Poseidon, the sea god who hates Odysseus, he is away with the Ethiopians. They are honoring him, so he's going to be away for a bit. And Athena, while Hermes is going to be sent to Calypso's isle to get Odysseus released, she is going to go visit Ithaca. So now we begin. The man, O Muse, inform that many a way wound with his wisdom to his wished stay, that wandered wondrous far when he the town of sacred Troy had sacked and shivered down. The cities of a world of nations, with all their manners, minds, and fashions, he saw and knew. At sea felt many woes, much care sustained, to save from overthrows himself and friends in their retreat for home. But so their fates he could not overcome, though much he thirsted it. O men unwise, they perished by their own impieties, that in their hungers rapine would not shun the oxen of the lofty going sun, who therefore from their eyes the day bereft of safe return. These acts in some part left tell us as others, deified seed of Jove. Now all the rest that austere death outstrove at Troy's long siege at home safe anchored are, free from the malice both of sea and war. Only Ulysses is denied access to wife and home. The grace of goddesses, the reverend nymph Calypso, did detain him in her caves, past all the race of men, inflamed to make him her loved lord and spouse. And when the gods had destined that his house, which Ithaca on her rough bosom bears, the point of time wrought out by ambient years, should be his haven. Contention still extends her envy to him, e'en among his friends. All gods took pity on him, only he that girds earth in the cincture of the sea, divine Ulysses ever did envy, and made the fixed port of his birth to fly. And he himself solemnized a retreat to the Ethiops, far dissundered in their seat, in two parts parted at the sun's descent, and underneath his golden orient, the first and last of men, to enjoy their feast of bulls and lambs in hecatombs addressed, at which he sat, given over to delight. The other gods in heaven's supremest height were all in council met, to whom began the mighty Father, both of God and man, discourse, inducing matters that incline to wise Ulysses, calling to his mind faultful Aegisthus, who to death was done by young Orestes, Agamemnon's son. His memory to the immortals then moved Jove thus deeply. Oh, how falsely men accuse us gods as authors of their ill, when, by the bane of their own bad lives instill, they suffer all the miseries of their states, past our inflictions and beyond their fates. As now Aegisthus, past his fate, did wed the wife of Agamemnon, and in dread to suffer death himself, to shun his ill, incurred it by the loose bent of his will, in slaughtering Atrides in retreat, which we foretold him would so hardly set to his murder's purpose, sending Mercury that slaughtered Argus, our considerate spy, to give him this charge: do not wed his wife, nor murder him, for thou shalt buy his life with ransom of thine own, imposed on thee by his Orestes, when in him shall be Atrides' self renewed, and but the prime of youth spring put abroad, in thirst to climb his haughty father's throne by his high acts. These words of Hermes wrought not into facts Aegisthus' powers. Good counsel he despised, and to that good his illness sacrificed. Pallas, whose eyes did sparkle like the sea, like the skies, answered, O sire, supreme of deities, Aegisthus passed his fate, and had desert to warrant our infliction, and convert may all the pains such impious men inflict on innocent sufferers to revenge as strict, their own hearts eating. But that Ithacus, thus never meriting, should suffer thus, I deeply suffer. His more pious mind divides him from these fortunes, though unkind is piety to him, giving him a fate more suffering than the most unfortunate, so long kept friendless in a sea-girt soil, where the sea's navel is a sylvan isle, in which the goddess dwells that doth derive her birth from Atlas, who all alive the motion and the fashion doth command with his wise mind, whose forces understand the inmost deeps and gulfs of all the sea, who, for his skill of things superior, stays the two steep columns that prop earth and heaven. His daughter 'tis, who holds this homeless driven, still mourning with her, ever more profuse of soft and winning speeches, that abuse and makes so languishingly, and possessed with so remiss a mind her loved guest, manage the action of his way for home, where he, though in affection overcome, in judgment yet more longs to show his hopes, his country's smoke leap from her chimney tops, and death asks in her arms. Yet never shall thy loved heart be converted on his thrall, austere Olympius. Did not ever he in ample Troy thy altars gratify, and Grecians fleet made in thy offerings swim? Jove, why still then burns thy wrath to him? The cloud assembler answered, What words fly, bold daughter, from thy palm of ivory? As if ever I could cast from my care divine Ulysses, who exceeds so far all men in wisdom, and so often hath given to all the immortals, throned in ample heaven, so great and sacred gifts. But his decrees that holds the earth in with his nimble knees stand to Ulysses' longing so extreme, for taking from the god-foe Polypheme his only eye, a cyclop that excelled all other cyclops, with whose burden swells the nymph Toosa, the divine increase of forces his seed, a great god of the sea. She mixed with Neptune in his hollowed caves, and bore this cyclop to that god of waves, for whose lost eye the earth shaker did not kill erring Ulysses, but reserves him still in life for more death. But use we our powers, and round about us cast these cares of ours, all to discover how we may prefer his wished retreat, and Neptune may forbear his stern eye to him, since no god can, in spite of all, prevail but 'gainst a man. To this answer made the grey-eyed maid: Supreme of rulers, since so well apaid the blessed gods are all then now in thee, to limit wise Ulysses' misery, and that you speak as you refer to me prescription for the means, in this sort be their sacred order. Let us now address with utmost speed our swift Argicides, to tell the nymph that bears the golden tress in the isle of Gygea that 'tis our will she should not stay our loved Ulysses still, but suffer his return, and then will I to Ithaca to make his son apply his sire's inquest the more, infusing force into his soul to summon the concourse of curled-head Greeks in council and to tour each wooer that hath been the slaughterer of his fat sheep and crooked-headed beeves. From more wrong to his mother, and their leaves take in such terms as fit desert so great. To Sparta then, and Pylos, where doth beat bright Amanthus the flood, an epithet to all that kingdom, my advice shall send the spirit-advanced prince to the pious end of seeking his lost father, if he may receive report from fame where rests his stay, and make besides his own successive worth known to the world, and set in action forth.